Hi, everyone. You're listening to Radio Cherry Bomb, and I'm your host, Carrie Diamond, coming to you from Newsstand Studios at Rockefeller Center in the heart of New York City. I'm the founder and editor of Cherry Bomb magazine. We have a fun show for you today. Joining me in the studio is father-daughter duo Al Roker and Courtney Roker Laga. They've written a charming cookbook titled Recipes to Live By, easy memory-making family dishes for every occasion. It's packed with lots of crowd pleasers, and they're going to join us in just a minute to talk about their favorite foods, their relationship, and why the title of the book has multiple meanings. Al, as most of you know, is America's weatherman. He is a TV personality and star of The Today Show, which films just around the corner from our studio. So it was a treat having Al walk over. Courtney is a recipe developer and a personal chef who has worked on the line at Michelin-starred restaurants, including Danielle, right here in the city. Stay tuned for my chat with Al and Courtney. Today's episode is presented by Kerrygold. Have you noticed that butter is having a moment? I've seen handbags sculpted out of butter, little couches made from butter pats, tiny butter cherubs, even butter-colored nail polish and fashion. The world is butter obsessed. But you know who loves butter more than most? The folks at Kerrygold. They've been perfecting their craft for decades, using milk from Irish grass-fed cows to create their famously rich, creamy, golden butter. There's a reason Kerrygold is beloved by everyone from home cooks to the world's top culinary creatives. It's just better butter. Kerrygold salted pure Irish butter has a butterfat content of 80%, while the unsalted version has a butterfat content of 82%. And that beautiful yellow color, it's thanks to beta-carotene, found naturally in milk from grass-fed cows. Want to get in on the fun? Get yourself some Kerrygold and whip up some flavored compound butter, fill some fancy butter molds, or sculpt one of those gorgeous butter mounds for your next dinner party or get-together. Visit KerrygoldUSA.com to learn more, get recipes, and find a stockist near you. If you'd like to hang with Team Cherry Bomb and the Bomb Squad, we've got lots of events coming up. There's Jubilee Wine Country taking place at the beautiful Solage Resort in Calistoga, California on the weekend of October 26th and 27th. Come learn from incredible folks like Dominique Crenn, Tanya Holland, Jenny Britton, Westbourne's Camilla Marcus, and Vintner's Daughters' April Gargiulo. We'll also be in Boston on October 23rd with She's My Cherry Pie host Jessie Sheehan to celebrate Jessie's new baking book. Tickets are on sale right now at cherrybomb.com, and we'd love to see you. Now, let's hear from today's guests. Courtney and Al, welcome to Radio Cherry Bomb.
Well, thank you.
What a thrilling day.
Well, I hope you feel that way when this is over.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry for the distances you had to travel to get
Yeah,
here.
it was a long walk. I mean, it's funny because Courtney said to me, "Where is this?" I Googled it, Google mapped it, and I said, "Oh, wait a minute, this is literally right across from our Today Show studio." I've never walked through this lobby here, so this is awfully nice.
Not all of our listeners know this, but we record the show in a historic newsstand. That's why it's called Newsstand Studios. When they renovated the lobby, I guess they took away what had been covering this and uncovered a newsstand that's been here for decades.
So
Wow.
cool.
Anyway, folks, if you're in the lobby of One Rockefeller Plaza,
Come on by.
come on by and take a look. So you two are here because you have this fantastic new cookbook that you have worked on together.
Yes.
I have so many questions about father-daughter working on a cookbook.
I'm sure Courtney does too.
I'm like, I'm ready.
So how did the idea for this come about? Why did you decide to partner on a cookbook?
Well, during the pandemic, him and my little brother Nick were doing, what were you calling it? It was a cooking show.
What We're Cooking.
What We're Cooking. And a lot of people tuned in, thousands of likes, and everyone was asking, when are you doing a cookbook, or we need a show or something? And in my head, I'm just like, if we're going to do it, we should do it now, because you have so many people watching. He's written a couple of cookbooks 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And we needed something updated, something bright, something new. I cooked for about 14 years.
Wait, I have to ask, were you jealous that your brother was doing this? Because you're the
No,
legit chef in the
no.
family.
I loved watching because him and my dad in the kitchen, it's fun, and Nick really enjoyed it. So yeah, with recipe development that I've done, I just thought this would be a great project for us to do. And I brought the idea, and he was very hesitant, I think.
I was like, because I just don't want to do a lot of things. I'm relatively lazy. And I thought, okay, this will be one more thing. And I don't like deadlines. What I love about live television is that our show starts at 7, I end at 10. I'm done. That's it. Good night, everybody. Whereas a cookbook, from my previous experience, that's a lot of work because it's not just, oh, here's a recipe. First of all, somebody's got to come up with the recipe. Then it's got to be tested.
And tested again.
And tested again. And then you got to write the head notes and you got to take the pictures. Because when I wrote a cookbook, you had 100, 110 recipes. And then you had maybe 3 pages of pictures in the middle. Now, you got to have a picture for every recipe you make. Like, all of that was swirling in my head. And then I said, okay, fine.
And you two did not phone this book in.
No. Well, the reason it's not phoned in is because of Courtney.
What is phoned in?
In other words, it's like somebody else really wrote it and the celebrity just puts their name on it.
No.
But you have real stories in there. It's a delight to read.
Well, thank you.
We have some family photos, I think, in there.
You have
too.
family photos?
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's like
Even the
anything.
dog.
Yeah, our dog Pepper. Our dog
she
Pepper.
passed away.
Here's
Pepper.
the kind of like almost magical moment. We got the first copies in July.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah.
She had passed away a week earlier, and the book came, and it fell open, face down, and I picked it up. It was open to the page, Pepper's full picture.
And she has a recipe in there.
And she's a little recipe. She looked very cute. She had been groomed, and she was like smiling. And I was like,
cute.
oh. But yeah, it really is our family. But the problem is, my mother never wrote anything down. Courtney's mom never wrote anything down. My grandmother. No. So Courtney had to interview us and talk about what it was and then what we remembered about it and the taste. And so she was like this recipe detective.
Yeah, I had to make a lot of phone calls. I had to test recipes over and over again. And I was pregnant at the time, too. So feeding my child, feeding my husband, calling him and annoying him is a process.
Let's talk about your career as a chef. When did you decide you wanted to go to culinary school?
I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I went to, I think it was called the French Culinary Institute, but then it changed to ICE. I was going to school in North Carolina for a little bit, and I was just confused on what I wanted to do. I saw something online, and I realized, I want to cook. And I reached out to my dad and just made it happen. I mean, I've loved theater and singing forever.
She has a terrific voice.
Oh, we've done a Cherry Bomb talent show before.
Oh, no, we're not doing that. Nope. No.
Tom Colicchio performed at our talent
he
show.
did?
Wow. There's a lot of talent in the Bomb Squad.
Wow. But yeah, decided to go down the cooking route.
The thing was, even when she was smaller, like we lived in Westchester, and there were these edible flowers in the garden. She'd go and pick the flowers and then decorate the plate. And so I was thrilled. The dad who's living vicariously through his kid playing basketball or baseball. I was the cook dad who was going to live vicariously through his daughter becoming a chef, a professional chef.
Did you ever work in restaurants, Al?
No. One day, we did a series on the Today Show, Job Swap. One day, I was a line cook for pre-theater dinner on a Friday night at Danielle, and Danielle was going to do weather. I'd never really been in a kitchen at that point. I mean, as far as on a Friday night, and I forget the name of the chef, big guy. He was a big guy. The amount of swearing, physical intimidation was palpable. I was never so traumatized.
Wow. Even you, a special guest, a VIP guest.
They could care less. It was like, it reminded me of that line in the movie Christmas Story, where the narrator says, my father dabbled in obscenity the way Picasso worked in oils. I mean, it was crazy.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm guessing your restaurant experience was a little different, but still, you didn't work in easy kitchens.
No.
You worked for the Patina Group. You were at Lincoln.
Yes, which were all great jobs, great restaurants. I worked for Jonathan Bano at Lincoln. Loved him. Worked at a couple of Danielle Boulud's restaurants. Great atmosphere. I have friendships from there, but it is intense. I love it. Adrenaline rush, loved it. Like I said, made great friendships, but I wanted to do something different, which is why I went through the recipe development career. And also I missed holidays with my family, and I just wanted something different.
You were a banquet chef at one point?
Oh, yeah. I
which
was
is tough?
at Westchester Country Club a long time ago.
I've forgotten about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great.
You seem like you've done almost everything there is to do in the food and chef world. What emerged as the thing that you truly love to do?
I guess, like I said, recipe development. I'm very into editorial work, social media. Right now, I'm a personal chef, so I cook for about 8 clients. I work for a company called Tiny Spoon Chef. So I love my job. I love cooking for people, making my own recipes, not having a chef telling me, you need to do this and you need to do that. But I also, like I said, I like doing recipe development on the side and content creation.
Did you enjoy the cookbook process?
It's a labor of love, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. Like, I loved it. He did the head notes, stories, stuff like that. I was the one that did the recipes, found the photographer. I food styled the whole book. It was a lot, and then being pregnant. But I would do it again in a heartbeat. I loved it.
We'll be right back with today's guests. The fall issue of Cherry Bomb's print magazine is finally here, and guess who our cover star is? It's Jenny Britton of Jenny's Splendid Ice Creams, the artisanal ice cream company that changed the game. This might just be our coolest cover yet, and I can't wait for you to read all about Jenny and her entrepreneurial journey. Also, we have a bonus cover. It's the delightful Abby Bellingett of The Dusky Kitchen and the award-winning cookbook, Mayumu. This issue is dedicated to the creative class and highlights innovative and imaginative folks in and around the world of food, including fashion designers, artists, photographers, and of course, lots of pastry chefs. If you're a subscriber, your copy will be in your mailbox very soon. If you aren't a subscriber, head to cherrybomb.com to snag a copy, or check out our list of retailers to find Cherry Bomb's print magazine at a store near you.
Hi, peeps. It's Jessie Sheehan, the host of She's My Cherry Pie, the baking podcast from the Cherry Bomb Podcast Network. I have big news for you. My new cookbook, Salty, Cheesy, Herby, Crispy, Snackable Bakes, is now available. This is my first savory baking book, and I'm so excited to share it with all of you. It features 100 easy-peasy baking recipes for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and of course, snacking. From sage butter scones to smash burger hand pies and tomato za'atar galette. You'll also find 6 of my essential savory baking hacks, including how to make my magic melted butter pie dough and the quickest and easiest caramelized onions. My cookbook tour is underway, and tickets are on sale right now at cherrybomb.com. Thanks to everyone who joined me in New York, San Francisco, and Chicago. I'll be in Boston on Wednesday, October 23rd, and I hope to see you there. Thank you to Kerrygold and King Arthur Baking Company for supporting my tour. You can click the link in the show notes of this episode to order the book, or pick up a copy at your favorite local bookstore. I hope you love salty, cheesy, herby, crispy, snackable bakes as much as I loved writing it.
Speaking of the baby, when I was reading the book, there was a line that totally jumped out at me. You were talking to Courtney in the acknowledgments. You helped give birth to this book, and you gave birth to the human being who gave me the will to live when I also was in heaven's waiting room, my little Sky Clara. I didn't realize you had had a near-death experience.
Well, I didn't either, to be honest. I had this perfect storm of internal health issues. Courtney, Leela, and my wife Deborah, my brother Chris, sister Elisa, all kind of came in from different places and just were my guardian angels and advocates. The greatest gift they gave me, in a sense, was that I didn't really know how bad off I was. So as far as I was concerned, I was going to get better.
But you did know Courtney was pregnant with your first
grandchild. I didn't know until after the surgery. She told me after. And it was like this joyous thing to think that I was going to be a grandfather. And so that was very, very exciting. It was a moment of excitement and literally something to live for.
But that makes the title of the book seem a little bit more profound. Recipes to Live By.
I had not thought about that.
I didn't think about that either.
I did not think about it. Thank you very much.
Wow.
I appreciate that. I think food is one of those great equalizers. Everybody has memories of their family that usually revolve around food or a meal, something like that, an event that had a meal. And again, the concept really kind of came from Courtney. We tried to do Sunday dinners a lot, enjoy people. A lot of family and friends would come over for meals. I always remember my dad always had this belief that he would want our house growing up to be the place where everybody came, because then I know my kids will be here.
I was curious about mealtime growing up because you had to get up so early. I think you wrote in the book 3:45 a.m. every day for how many decades now?
Well, full-time since 1995.
Wow. How did that impact family mealtime? Because you also obviously went to bed early.
And with me, it was different.
Yeah,
right?
It was different because at the time I was working at WNBC, Channel 4 here in New York. So I did the 5, 6, and 11. So when Courtney was younger, was still into really early elementary school, I'd get up with her, make breakfast. When she was old enough to go to preschool, take her to preschool, pick her up, make sure she had lunch, and then off to work. The mornings were our time. It wasn't until her brothers and sisters, really, that I was gone in the morning. When the kids, her brother and sister came along, I think I poured my energy into dinner time because I wouldn't be there for the mornings, obviously.
But you'd make breakfast for Nick.
Yeah, I would make breakfast for Nick. Leela didn't care that much about breakfast, but Nick likes breakfast.
Yeah.
Nick, he would eat
Just
3
breakfast.
breakfasts.
Yeah.
In fact, sometimes he would. I would make breakfast and then he'd wait around and then Deborah would get up. And she'd make
Oh, that's
breakfast.
so funny because you tell a really poignant story about your dad. When you were a kid growing up in Queens, your dad was a bus driver.
He was a bus driver, and I would get up with him and have breakfast. And then when my siblings would get up before school, I'd have breakfast again. Breakfast to me is the best meal of the day.
Oh my gosh, breakfast for dinner is amazing.
Yeah.
Do you do that as a family sometimes?
My husband and I, sometimes I'll just make pancakes and eggs and bacon for breakfast. It's so good.
Well, let's talk about some of these recipes because it really is one hit after another.
Well, thank you.
I mean, there are so many crowd pleasers in this book. It was a lot of fun to flip through it. How did you decide what was going to go in the book?
I pulled him aside because he's a busy guy. I was like, listen, we need to sit down, take some time, sit down. We're going to go and pick out what we want to put in this book.
She had kind of compiled this list of recipes, talking with me, talking with Deborah,
Right.
talking with her mom, or some family, some friends. And what do you remember growing up? And so there were, 150?
It was like 150 ideas, and then we narrowed it down to 100.
Yeah. And so we'd go through and back and forth and back and forth. Part of the problem is I'm hard to pin down. I'm very much, I'll do it later. I'll get to you later. And finally, it was like Courtney had to hit me with a tranquilizer dart, tie me down.
Deadlines.
And I was like, we got to do this. And that was pretty much the rhythm. She'd be either texting me or calling me, hey, and I'd be ignored. And then she'd finally just show up. It's like, you can't ignore me now.
You've got a great section for the holidays on Thanksgiving and sides. You are a big sides person.
Oh, absolutely. I think people care more about the sides in Thanksgiving than the turkey.
I'm okay with just a plate of sides, to be honest. Like, I love turkey, but I can just do sides.
But do you really love turkey?
I love it on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And like a turkey sandwich.
Yeah. They only care about the leftover, like the
Yeah.
turkey sandwich deal.
With the stuffing and
With
the
the
cranberry
stuffing,
sauce.
cranberry sauce, and that.
Love. Do you have to make the turkey, Courtney, for the fam?
No, that's his thing.
What we had been doing, and we'd have family over and friends, I'd prep as much as I could the night before, and then I left a schedule of insertion times to the oven for Deborah, who would then put the turkey in, and then by the time I get there, I'd take over. But I was exhausted. And then one day we were at Barbalud, and Danielle came by, and he says, why don't you come to the restaurant for Thanksgiving? And I've always been, I don't want to eat at a restaurant for Thanksgiving. Come on. I went, and I thought, where has this been all my life?
So good.
What have I been doing?
Probably like the best stuffing ever.
Yeah.
So good.
No cleanup, no nothing. They even put some leftovers in a box for us.
Yeah.
So what are you doing this year?
We're doing a Friendsgiving, so we're not seeing really anybody,
Yeah.
which I feel bad about. We might do the parade. I don't know.
Yeah, I get to see the baby.
Yeah.
And then I don't really care about I don't care about them anymore. I just care about the baby.
Yeah.
How is little Sky?
She's great.
Does she eat much yet?
Oh my God, she eats everything. She had eel sushi the other day.
Ooh.
Courtney had sushi. We started taking her to a sushi restaurant when she was 3.
Oh, that's even in your Instagram bio.
Yeah.
Your love of sushi.
I love sushi.
Yeah, and in fact, it was a great little mom and pop sushi restaurant in Westchester. And all their regular clients, you had your own personal chopsticks. And she had these little Hello Kitty chopsticks that they had for her.
And my best friend just got me a pair to give to Sky.
Oh,
Her
I
little
love those, the little
chopsticks.
ones that teach you how to use
yes.
chopsticks.
Yeah.
But Sky has, I think, the same kind of palate that Mommy has.
Yeah.
Because she really leans more toward
Savory.
than
Like, she had
sweet.
ice cream and she's like, all right, whatever. But she loves lemons and chicken and sushi and yeah,
And how old is she now?
15 months.
15 months. Wow. And how are you doing? How are you holding up? Working mom, not easy.
Ooh, it's a little difficult, but I have a great partner and we help each other out and great grandparents.
That's great. All right, let's talk about some specific recipes.
Okay.
Which is the most personal?
I guess one of my grandmother's recipes, probably like the sweet potato poon or peas and rice, just because I grew up eating that.
And explain sweet potato poon. I heard you explain that, I think, to Ina Garten.
Yeah,
But
it's a crustless sweet potato pie that I think can either be, a dessert or a side. It's relatively simple. It is, to me, the epitome of a holiday. We had it every Christmas and Thanksgiving. But for me, for the recipe, the two that most remind me of my mom is the oxtail stew and dumplings. For the dessert, it would have to be the pineapple upside down cake, which is very old school. but I think is making a comeback. And it's really pretty simple. For people of a certain age, your mother's cooking and your grandmother's cooking was relatively economical. The lesser cuts of meat, canned food, and or vegetables, just the stuff that, that was basic. The beauty of what Courtney did was take those recipes, I don't even want to say elevate them, but modernize them. Really did a good job of it.
Courtney, which recipe do you think will be the most popular? There's always something that bubbles up.
Ooh, 2. I think the blood orange Aperol spritz. Super simple.
I flagged that one. I love an Aperol spritz, but
Oh,
I also love
Aperol
blood
spritz
orange.
are good. And then what was the other one? Apple cider donut bread pudding.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's good. That's it. And in fact, this is really Courtney's recipe. We go to this apple orchard near us in upstate New York called Hilltop Orchards. And so we go apple picking. Really, we don't care about the apples. It's the apple cider donuts that they're making hot right there. They come off this line and fall into this amazing jacuzzi of brown sugar, cinnamon stuff. And then you get this wax paper bag that's greasy. We always overorder because you see them and you have one and you say, well, if I've had one, I need to really have 8. And so we've got leftovers. It was 2 days later, and I said, we got all these left. Is there anything you could do with this? And
Bread pudding.
there you go.
Yeah.
I think the mac and cheese recipe.
Oh, yeah. I make a good mac and cheese.
Yeah.
What's your secret?
In the book, I put panko on top because he likes that, right? You like
I like
your sweet-
breadcrumbs.
You like breadcrumbs
My
on
mom
top.
did breadcrumbs on
Yeah.
top. So
I'm okay with not, I don't have to have panko. I like a baked mac and cheese.
What I find interesting, like Courtney is a classically trained chef, so she knows about a bechamel sauce. What my mom made to go in there was basically a bechamel, but
Yeah.
we didn't know it was a bechamel sauce. It
Yeah.
was just, it's like, oh, bechamel. Look at that. Look at you being fancy, Isabel Roker, without knowing it,
Like we said, you've worked with some of the best chefs around. I mean, Jonathan Beno, famous New York City chef, and Daniel Blue, internationally famous. What did you learn from them? What are some of the things you took away that you still put into practice today?
I think patience and prepping everything out ahead of time, taking your time, organizing, measuring everything out, because I feel like if you don't have patience and you rush, something's going to go wrong. You're going to mess up. So
mise en place.
mise en
key.
place, right? Like prepping everything out ahead of time and having like a little checklist and marking it off. I think that's the best thing that I've learned from them because I brought that on to other careers in my life.
Do you think you were like that when you got into those kitchens?
No, I had no idea what I was doing. I think I was a know-it-all. I thought I knew everything. I have to prove myself type of attitude. And no, it was a growing lesson.
And Al, you've been able to work with some of the best chefs in the world on the Today Show.
Yes.
What have you picked up from them?
Chefs who come on have a certain amount of humility because there are certain ones that are like, these superstars and they're an industry, as it were. But then there are those who are like that, but yet still sweat the small things and still worry about, did I do a good job? My thing is, when people will say to me, they say, do you still get nervous? I said, every day. And those chefs who come in and prep, we've got a terrific team at the Today Show led by Katie Stilo, but they still are there and they get in early. The chefs that I've learned from are fairly humble.
I feel like there's a lot of humility and humbleness in your book. It's very approachable. And all the stories that you tell in it.
Yeah, I think it's more authentic, I think. I wanted people to pick up the book. They'll know Courtney's cooking through it, her skills, and that they know when they read this that it's like they hear me talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So I hope that comes through.
Who's been the most fun to cook with on the show?
Oh, gosh.
Who brings it every time?
Whether it's Danielle, Bobby Flay, Marcus Samuelson is fantastic. Alexander Smalls, who's just such a character, literally a larger-than-life character. I'm just always amused by Martha Stewart. She just is delightful. Ina Garten is just wonderful.
I love her.
She is just the best, and she's a very generous person, both of spirit and of career.
Absolutely. You have a food podcast, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well,
That's a perfect example.
And I listened to Ina. I know you.
Yes.
Well, Courtney said you're a busy guy,
Yeah.
but
Well,
you said you're lazy, and I'm like, that is just not
Well, we
true.
did it last year. Once I've done something, I just kind of move to the next. It's like I've got to just clear up space on the disk for more things on the hard drive. But yeah, it was fun to do. If some of your listeners are older, they will remember Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. It was a ventriloquist.
Candace Bergen's dad.
And Candace Bergen's dad. And he had a ventriloquist dummy. And he was one of the highest paid performers in the 1940s on radio. He was a ventriloquist on radio. I was like, well, how do you sell that? I mean, hey, I have a character here. I'm talking and I'm not moving my lips, but you can't see that I'm not moving my lips.
Is this true?
So yes, it's very true.
Gosh.
And so I thought, is anybody going to listen to a podcast about cooking? How does that work? They had mics on like all the pots, so this ASMR thing. And I'm like, okay, I guess, but people listen to that. I really enjoyed doing it. That's the great thing about, I think, this medium, that you tend to use your imagination as you're listening. I just find it fascinating.
We're at Rockefeller Center.
Yes.
They've totally redone Rock Center through the lens of food.
Yeah.
Have you been able to enjoy any of the good food that's here now?
Let's see. I've been to J.J. Johnson's field trip.
Downstairs. Yep.
Downstairs. I've been to 5 Acres. I really am a big fan of the iced Nola coffee at Blue Bottle.
They put chicory in that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because for years, your option here was like Sea Grill.
Yes. It was Sea Grill and the American Festival Cafe. Courtney grew up going to. Those were 2 restaurants. And then during the pandemic, they literally gutted the concourse. And now it's really a food destination. It's a high-end food court. Jupiter, pretty good. I've been to La Roque, which is upstairs. There's a lot of food here now. Even on the concourse, Lobel's is going to have a restaurant.
I saw that.
Ace's Pizza is pretty good. One of my favorite restaurants around here is Avra.
Great.
Great Mediterranean seafood restaurant.
Okay, my next question for you. I have always been a night owl. What's the secret to being a morning person? I see you have an Aura ring on.
I do.
I just got mine to try to continue my training to be a morning person.
I don't think it's that hard. You got to go to bed at a decent time. What time do you normally get up?
I don't have a normal time I wake up. See, that's my problem.
That's your problem. What do you mean you don't have a normal time?
Well, because I don't have a normal life.
But if
I'm always traveling. Sometimes I have an event at night. Sometimes I have an early breakfast.
I'm a big believer in making the appearance. My dear friend Hoda Kotb, she has a move that I call the Houdini. You remember in the Batman movies when Commissioner Gordon's in his office and all of a sudden he looks up and there's Batman? Gordon turns to get a file and then comes back and Batman's gone. That's Hoda.
That's Hoda.
Gordon goes, I hate when he does it. Hoda's the same way. You're at a party with her and you're talking to her and somebody taps you on your shoulder and you say, oh, hold on just a second. And you turn back, Hoda's gone.
The Houdini.
Do the Houdini. So what you need to do, you go to the party, you do the first half hour, maybe 30, 40 minutes, and then you're out.
Okay.
But you've got to set a relatively stable time to get up. And your body will then adjust to that. So,
okay, I'm working on it. Like I said,
what time do you want to get up?
Like 7 at
7.
least.
Good.
That's please. I've been up for 3 hours of that. No, you start at 7, but you got to get up every morning at 7, or get up at 8. And so I can't sleep. Even my mother said I drove her crazy as a child because I did not nap and I got up early. Courtney, you were a normal sleeper. I mean,
I don't remember.
Yeah. And as a teenager, you were one of that typical teens where she could sleep till 11 or 12. I was like, how can any human being sleep this long? You're like part bear.
Sounds about right.
Was it tough having to be quiet when Dad was asleep early at home?
No, you didn't have to. I mean, I could see, I am blessed. And her brother, Nick, is the same. I mean, I can drop off almost standing up. So I don't, it was not like, oh, shh, be quiet, your dad's
Like we're at dinner and he's like nodding off.
I will nod off sometimes.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I do a face plant into the spaghetti.
I think your next podcast needs to be Al Roker, life coach.
Well, I don't like giving advice unless I'm really asked. Or is that true? Do I just spout off?
I don't know.
All right, we're going to do a little speed round with
okay.
you two. Courtney, we'll start with you. What beverage do you start the morning with?
I like an iced matcha with almond milk.
Cold brew, a little simple syrup and dash of half and half.
What's always in your fridge?
Kiwi mayo.
A jug of cold brew and half.
What was your favorite food as a child?
Probably a grilled cheese and an apple juice type of thing.
Yeah, grilled cheese with bacon. If it's winter, tomato soup.
What's your favorite snack food?
This is so bad. Doritos Cool Ranch.
Oh,
They're so bad
nice.
for you.
Yeah, but that's still, I would say the baked Cheetos, the highly orange puffed Cheeto.
And I know you like a peppermint patty.
I do like a York
Yeah,
peppermint
I have
patty.
a mint thing too.
Yeah.
I like that you have that no churn mint
so
chocolate chip
good.
ice
Really is
cream.
good.
I'm going to make that.
Yes.
Yeah, come from a big mint chip family.
Yeah, oh yeah.
What are you streaming right now?
The Monster series on Netflix. Do you know what that is?
No.
The Menendez brothers.
Oh, so it's a light comedy.
Yeah, it's a light comedy.
You're not alone in that. It's a popular show.
Yeah. My wife, Deborah Roberts, who's the co-anchor of 2020, every show is a murder. I tend to the lighter fare. So I
Like
just
Emily
finished,
in Paris?
No, that's not that light. I mean, well done.
Yeah.
But I just finished streaming Bad Monkey with Vince Vaughn, which is terrific, and Slow Horses. And looking forward to Shrinking starts.
Oh, I like that show.
I love that show. Who knew Harrison Ford was so funny? Could do comedy.
What's your favorite food film?
Chocolat? That's a good one.
It's a beautiful one.
Chef.
What's your favorite food smell?
This is broad, but I guess like Indian curry simmering sauce type of thing.
Cinnamon rolls.
Dream travel destination?
Japan.
Have you ever been?
No, I want to
know,
go
me
so
too.
bad.
Me too. Have you been everywhere with the show?
No, not everywhere. I haven't been to Fiji or Bali, which I'd love to do that. We've been. Courtney's sister lives there in Paris. I love Paris. You can find every cuisine there, and to be able to eat. We ate at this one place. It was kind of Japanese influenced, so inventive, and that's the other beauty about it. It seems like no matter what you eat, you don't seem to gain weight there. I think maybe it's because of the smaller portions, also the quality of the food, the lack of preservatives, all that stuff.
And so much fun to walk there.
And you're walking all the time.
Yeah.
Or taking the metro. One of the good things that New York City shares with Paris is a metro. Although I will say the Louvre metro stop
My favorite.
is just, I literally was in there for just 10 minutes. Just like Google it if you haven't seen it. It's just the most amazing.
I also love
place.
the announcer on that train line.
Yeah.
I love how she says Louvre.
Yeah.
Yes. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Share
And
that.
they got subways with rubber wheels.
And I love the smell.
Who knew? Yeah. That's right.
That
It
smell from
smells like
rubber wheels.
croissants.
What does our subway
Doesn't
smell
smell-
like?
Our
Not
subway smells
croissants.
not like that. Our subway smells a little different. But yeah,
wonder-
different smells. Different smell.
Yeah.
I wonder if they have croissant rat, like a little ratatouille.
I said that to
dragging.
somebody. It's like, wouldn't it be fun if you had a little chef's hat?
I would love
Hey, little chef.
that.
You know, that's the problem with growing up with these anthropomorphized characters. You want them to be that. Like there was a dairy when I was growing up just outside of Queens in Elmont, New York, called Gow's Dairy. Gow's rhymes with cows. And they had a petting zoo. So the parents would leave your kids outside standing at a chain link fence looking at these sad cows and farm animals, and they'd go in. And there was a rabbit. And it was literally the first time I was like 7. It was the first time I'd seen a real rabbit. It's like, wait, okay, I know it wouldn't necessarily talk, but I was expecting it at least to be standing on its hind legs and have gloves on,
Oh my god.
eating a carrot. And by the way, a skunk does not look like a cat that had a stripe painted on the back like in the Pepe Le Pew cartoons. There's all these disappointments.
Can I switch my answer from favorite chef film to Ratatouille?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Ratatouille is
But
great.
Chocolat is a beautiful film.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Ratatouille's more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, little chef. Yeah.
I was in Paris with my mom and we were walking through a park and there were a bunch of rats. And I went, oh, Ratatouille. And my mother goes, no, stop.
No. Stop.
A rat to her is a rat.
Deborah
Deborah.
wanted to leave the theater.
She's like, that's
She
disgusting.
was just repulsed by that movie.
Oh, yeah, and the walls, when they're all on the walls.
Yeah, when they're on the walls.
Yeah, Deb was like, oh.
Well, don't take her to Disneyland Paris, which I actually went to. There's a whole Ratatouille section.
Oh, wow.
And that's where the best
Oh,
food
that'd be
is
fun.
at that one. And they have a Ratatouille ride
Oh, my gosh.
that you get in a little rat car.
I love it.
And it takes you through the movie, but as if you're Remy,
Oh, so,
Oh,
you're-
everything's
you're-
big.
everything's big.
your
Yeah.
ground level.
Oh, that's
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, it was that fun.
Wow. I have to do that.
Yeah.
Don't take your wife.
Very exciting.
If you had to be trapped on a desert island with one food celebrity, who would it be and why?
Two.
Okay, it's your first time on the show. We'll give it to you.
Oh, great. Ina Garden and Bobby Flay. Ina just for conversation. And I'm obsessed with her. And Bobby, because I feel like he would figure out something to cook out there and it would taste great.
Okay, this is a little off the wall, but I did a story on her and I just find her fascinating. Shawnee Dixon. She was just in Pete Wells' top 50 New York City restaurants. And then her restaurant called Shawnee's House out in Staten Island is one of the top 50 restaurants in the country. It's this little restaurant. I think it's got 8 tables or something like that. She's like 5th generation Staten Islander and used to cook for a lot of hip hop folks, but she's just very inspirational. You know, she's just very positive. And I think she could rustle up whatever and she'd just be fun to talk to.
All right. Good answer. But you'd be saved pretty fast. America needs you, Al.
I don't know that they would care. I don't know that. I don't think so.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you how you are doing reporting the weather these days, because it's a tough job.
Look, yeah, it's a tough job, but it's far tougher for these people who are affected by this weather that used to be, 1 in 1,000-year event, and now it's 1 in 20 years event or less.
Yeah.
We're living in an era where, hurricanes are, as the norm now, rapidly intensifying. This last one, Milton, went through extreme rapid intensification. I've never used that term before.
Because you used to have one of the, no pun intended, sunniest jobs.
Yeah. And when we would talk about a hurricane, we talk about it making landfall, kind of fizzling out, and that was it. Now they stay intense inland. I mean, look at Helene.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and poor Astro.
Far more damage inland than where it made landfall. Far more deaths, far more destruction, far more infrastructure being wiped out. So this is our new normal, unfortunately. And I just hope that we get past this point of the politicization of weather, of climate, of recovery. Listen to the people who are in your community and are tasked with making sure you're safe. They don't care whether you're red or blue. They just care that you're an American citizen under their care. And those are the people who are going to do right by you, by and large, because that's been the most, besides the problems with climate change and the extreme weather that we're experiencing more often now and in different areas, the idea that people would get in the way of relief is despicable.
Well, thank you for all you've done for so many years. I mean, you brought so much joy to so many people in this country. And now the two of you are bringing a lot of joy to people in a different way with this great book.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you
so much.
All right, have fun with the book tour and everything.
Yippee!
Yay.
That's it for today's show. I would love for you to subscribe to Radio Cherry Bomb on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave a rating and a review. Anyone you want to hear on an upcoming episode? Let me know. Our theme song is by the band Tra La La. Joseph Hazen is a studio engineer for Newsstand Studios. Our producers are Catherine Baker and Jenna Sadu. Our content operations manager is London Crenshaw. And our editorial coordinator is Sophie Kais. Thanks for listening, everybody. You're the bomb.